Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfic. This will be the continuation of Datastream. This will be Part 11, Chapter 11. 3 years later. Are you ready for the exam? Izuku asked Hitoshi. They'd been friends for 3 years now, and Uncle Shouta had been training Hitoshi for the entire time. Hitoshi was almost as good with Uncle's capture scarf as the hero himself was, and Hitoshi's old bullies knew that they would get a serious beatdown if they ever tried to start anything with the purple-haired boy. Not that Hitoshi ever really needed to hit anyone anymore. A simple glare and a dark grin was enough to remind them all of how far he'd come. As ready as I'll ever be, Hitoshi replied. He wasn't going to be taking the general admittance exam. No, Hitoshi was coming in as a recommendation student. Uncle Shouta had discussed it with Nezu a while back, and they had agreed that even though he was a teacher at the school, Shouta's student deserved a chance at a recommendation spot. Hitoshi still needed to pass the exams, though. If he couldn't, then he would be forced to take the general admittance exam. You'll do great, Toshi. Izuku hugged him and gave a quick kiss to the cheek, causing Hitoshi to blush like crazy. Over the past 3 years, the two had gotten a lot closer, and they would flirt constantly and have little touches, cheek kisses. They will link pinkies even, but neither has openly confessed to the other. Something Izuku knows drives his Uncle Shouta up the wall, while Papa just thinks it's cute. If you see Shouto there, tell him I said good luck, okay? Izuku asked. Sure, that won't be weird or anything. Some random kid he's never met walks up to him. Hey, my friend says good luck, he quipped. Maybe you should just text him instead. But I want you to do it. You've never met each other, and I'm sure you'd get along, Izuku pouted at him. Please, Hito? Fine. Just stop at the eyes. You know that should be classified as a deadly weapon. He had a look of mild terror right before Izuku turned his famous sunshine smile on him. The brightness. It burns. Izuku laughed and lightly shoved Hitoshi. Oh, go on and take your silly exam, Hito. I'll be watching you. Don't mess up. Aizawa's right. You are a problem creep, Toshi joked. Always watching us. You'll thank me one of these days. Izuku laughed and walked off. Izuku was already promised a place at the school, but not any specific course. Due to his multitasking abilities and quick processing speeds, Izuku already had his high school diploma and had taken plenty of classes on coding and computer programming. He would be attending UA as Nezu's personal student and would spend most of his time in the 1A classroom, with his uncle observing the Hero Course students. Izuku made his way to the teacher's lounge, waiting for the exam to start. His uncle was going to be at the exam to watch how the prospective new students were, but his papa was here getting a bit of lesson planning done. Hey, baby, wish your boyfriend good luck, Papa teased. Blushing, Izuku retorted. He's not my boyfriend. Not yet, maybe. Give it time, he laughed. Papa, we're not dating. And besides, if I was going to be dating anyone, Shouto had first dibs. He told me he liked me 3 years ago. Izuku blushed at the memory. Shouto hadn't been exactly subtle about liking him then, and none of that has changed. Oh, I thought it was Shouto you had gone to wish good luck, Papa said. You know he's at the exam. Blushing even harder, Izuku said. Well, yeah, of course I know that. It's just, well, we still haven't met in person, and it's weird. You'll never meet him in person if you don't, meet him in person, Papa pointed out, looking at Izuku over his yellow glasses. Don't you dare block this signal or you're grounded. At that, Papa took out his phone and placed a call. No, don't call Uncle, Izuku pleaded. What do you want, Zaji? The exam's about to start. Uncle answered his phone. Did you know Zuzu still hasn't met the Todoroki boy in person? Papa said. And I don't need to, Izuku said, clearly cutting into their call. Zuzu, butt out of the call. Sho, keep the Todoroki boy after the exam so he can meet Zu. Okay, he's here with his sister, so they'll both get to meet him. Uncle agreed. And Izu, you really should meet him. Hitoshi told him you said good luck, and he blushed so hard he caught fire. He did? Oh, that's adorable, Izuku whispered, pulling up the footage and watching as Shouto's left side did indeed catch fire. You go to school together? Shouto asked the purple-haired teen, Shinso. His mentor was Eraserhead, but Shouto wasn't too sure that mentor was the right term. They looked too similar, and from what he could tell, they used the same fighting style. He was sure they were father and son. Yeah, we met during first year. This green kid comes in, a pure ball of anxiety, and gets sat behind the kid with a villainous quirk, then tells off some bullies. It was beautiful. Shinso said with a fond smile. Shouto tilted his head in confusion. Villainous quirk. Was the kid a villain? Wait, no, that still wouldn't have made the quirk itself villainous. Why do you say it was villainous? Shinso was looking at him with wide eyes. That's what everyone always said. That came out as a whisper. Well, everyone always said my father's quirk was heroic, but he's no hero, Shouto argued. The quirk doesn't determine if a person is a hero or a villain. Shouto shrugged. Talk like that is quirk discrimination, and it's annoying. Are you okay? Shinso had started to tear up, but at Shouto's question, he wiped his eyes. Yeah, I'm good. Izu's the only person my age who has ever said my quirk wasn't villainous before. Thank you. I needed to hear that from someone else. He grinned softly at Shouto. What is your quirk, if you don't mind me asking, that is? Brainwashing. I can control anyone who verbally replies to a question I ask. He replied hesitantly, as if he was looking for Shouto to change his mind about his quirk being villainous. Shouto's eyebrows went up. That's actually a pretty good quirk for heroics. I can't see how you could cause property damage with that, and casualties would be next to nothing. You could easily defuse situations before they escalate, handle hostage exchanges, even get a villain to turn themselves in. Why would anyone say it's villainous? At that moment, a green boy came up behind Shinso and hugged him. I told you I wasn't the only one who saw the good in your quirk, Hito. Turning to Shouto, the green boy said, Hey there, Shouto. I saw your time on the obstacle course. You did great. Izuku? The green boy Izuku nodded with a bright smile. Shouto's blush returned, and his hair caught fire again, causing Izuku to giggle. It's nice to meet you in person, Shouto. Too bright, Shouto said at the exact same time Shinso said it. The two looked at each other and Shinso grinned. I usually have a pair of sunglasses with me when I hang out with Izu to protect myself from that sunshine grin. I just may have to start doing that, Shouto agreed. Staring directly at the sun is very damaging. Izuku puffed out his cheeks in annoyance. Just because your smiles aren't as bright doesn't make them any less dazzling. Maybe I should wear, I don't know, what blocks out dazzle? Shinso laughed softly and ruffled Izuku's hair. Nice try, Izu. You're too pure to come up with something too biting. Shouto looked at the two and frowned slightly. I suppose my crush is entirely one-sided. He sighed. How long have you two been together? Both boys froze in their tracks and blushed brightly. We're not! Oh? Shouto's eyes lit up with hope again. So I still have a chance. I don't know what you're talking about, Shouto, Izuku squeaked out. I have to go. Izuku tried to run off, but Shinso just laughed and hooked his arm around Izuku's waist and dragged him back. Nope, no running away. Besides, aren't you the one that said we were going to go to Beans after the exam? Shouto tilted his head. Beans? Izuku smiled and said, Yeah, Coffee and Toe Beans. It's the weirdest name ever, but it's a cat cafe, and most of the cats there will let you play with their feet, and kitty feet are cute little toe beans. Shinso was nodding sagely. It is known. Kitty feet have toe beans. Do you want to come with us, Shouto? Izuku asked. I'm sure my uncle won't mind one more. Do my eyes deceive me? Is that Bakugo in the hero exam? Yes, unfortunately. His parents petitioned the HPSC and they removed the mark on his record, disqualifying him from a hero course. If he scores high enough, he will have to be admitted, regardless of what we know he has done. I'll place him in Aizawa's class, though, so he'll likely be expelled. That bitch just got 70 points on the exam. He got the top score. I apologize, Izuku. The weeks leading up to the first day of class saw Izuku in a bad mood. Everyone knew why he was upset, and no one held it against him. Shouta constantly found him on the roof of the apartment building when he was on his way home from patrol, and the first few times he was worried. Zuku, it's late. What are you doing up here? Shouta asked, finding him on the roof for the third night in a row. Same thing I used to do, Uncle, Izuku replied. Haven't really had a reason to do it for the last few years, though. He let a smile turn wry as he looked at his uncle. Looking at the night sky always used to help me put my head on right. Walk me through that. The universe is so big. Millions upon millions of stars, galaxies, planets, unknown possibilities out there. With everything that's out there, we're just a tiny, insignificant piece of a grand scheme. Everything is just so big once you think about things outside of your own self. My problems are small in comparison to everything else out there. He turned to Shouta and said wryly, Seeing Bakugo again will be like getting my teeth kicked in. But there are worse things that could happen. Come here, kid. Shouta pulled Izuku in for a hug and rested his head on Izuku's curls. You know I won't let him touch you, right? Izuku nodded his head, with his face buried in Shoto's capture scarf. Shouto and Hito won't let him near me either. They both know about our history. Izuku's whisper was just barely audible to Shouta. If he gives you any trouble at all, I'll expel him, Shouta promised. You won't be able to, Izuku muttered. I've seen the updated paperwork they gave Nezu. He has to keep Bakugo. If he allows you to expel Bakugo, then Hito will be removed from the course as well. The HPC wants him to be a hero for his quirk, and for the same reason they don't want Hito to be a hero. Shouta could feel the rage building. Those bastards were using his student and his nephew against him, to make sure an abuser made it into the hero ranks. They were, and are still upset that we got Endeavor imprisoned, Izuku said, still barely audible. Since Bakugo finished his 3 years of anger management therapy, and all of his other court-issued consequences, they expunged his record. He'll be able to start over completely. He'll be free to be the second coming of Endeavor. Izuku nodded in his scarf. Shouta cursed to himself. He was going to have to personally work with this entitled prick to try and get his head out of his ass in the 3 years leading up to graduation. Izu was hiding. That's the only way Hitoshi could think of to describe it. He had an idea of where the gremlin was, but there was no way in hell Hitoshi was going to barge into the principal's office to drag his adorable green friend to class, especially since he was not technically a hero student. He was Nezu's personal student, so he had every valid reason to be in the principal's office. But that doesn't change the fact that he was still hiding. There was a blonde kid in the seat directly in front of the one Hitoshi was assigned, and reading the seating chart, he knew that the kid was the Bakugo Katsuki that Izu and Aizawa both warned him about. He decided to wait in the back, near Shouto's desk, so they could talk without risking the blonde kid hearing. Hitoshi watched with a dark amusement as a blue-haired kid approached Bakugo and started complaining to him about being respectful and keeping his feet off the desk. Hitoshi tuned them out when he saw Shouto enter the class. Good morning, Hitoshi. Where's Zuku? Shouto asked him when he got closer. Hiding, likely in Nezu's office. He better show up to class on time, though. We all know Aizawa's not going to do a normal day. Oh? Shouto's head tilt is so adorable. Hitoshi felt his cheeks blush. He was like a little kitten. So not fair. Yeah, I hope you weren't looking forward to the orientation, because it's not going to happen. Stop giving away Uncle's secrets, Hito. Come to class and stop me then, Izu, Hitoshi said to his phone and held it up so Shouto could see that he wasn't just talking to himself. Problem creep is listening in through the cameras again. Why do you call him that? Mainly because that's what his uncle calls him when he's doing his whole I'm watching you thing, Hitoshi shrugged. Is Aizawa really his uncle? They don't look or act anything alike. Hitoshi chuckled at that. Yeah, they are blood related. I had a hard time believing it at first myself. Izu is a bright ray of sunshine, and his uncle is like a rainy Monday in the middle of December. I'm telling Uncle you called him a rainy Monday. He says that as if it will change anything. Hitoshi glanced at the time. We should get in our seats before Aizawa shows up. He'll be upset if we're not ready for class on time. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 11 of Datastream. Chapter 12 will be up next. Eager to hear your thoughts and reactions to this one, and as always, thank you all so much for listening.